The crash landing. The celestial Voyager, pride of the Galactic Confederation's scientific fleet, shuddered violently as it tore through Earth's atmosphere. Emergency alarms blared throughout the ship as Commander Zephyr struggled to maintain control. Her 4 arms worked frantically across the navigation console, iridescent scales flashing distress patterns across her normally serene blue skin. "Status report," she demanded, her dual voice chambers producing the overlapping tones characteristic of Atrian commanders. Chief Engineer Kelver's eye stalks drooped in dismay as he scanned the damage reports flooding his terminal. "Catastrophic failure in the quantum drive, Commander. Coolant systems are completely offline, power reserves at 14% and falling. We have maybe 20 minutes before total systems collapse." Zephyr's secondary heart constricted with dread. The celestial Voyager was more than just a ship. It was a mobile research platform housing 3 cycles worth of irreplaceable scientific data from a dozen star systems. Losing it would set Confederation research back by decades. "Navigation. What's our position?" she demanded. Science Officer Trellix consulted the ship's database. "We're in System 3742b, Commander. The only habitable planet is designated as Earth, a Class C developing world under observation protocols." His voice carried unmistakable disdain. "The dominant species are carbon-based bipeds, with minimal technological advancement. They haven't even established permanent off-world colonies yet." Zephyr's membrane eyelids closed briefly in resignation. Of all places to crash, they had to end up on a backwater world barely past its industrial phase. "Any other options?" she asked, already knowing the answer. "None within range, Commander," Navigation Officer Denver replied. "We must land now or risk total disintegration." Zephyr made her decision. "Take us down in the least populated area you can find. Activate stealth shielding and prepare for emergency landing procedures." The celestial Voyager descended rapidly toward a remote forested region in what the humans called North America. Despite the crew's best efforts, their landing was far from gentle. The ship carved a half-mile trench through dense forest before coming to rest in a small clearing, its once gleaming hull now scorched and buckled. Inside, the crew picked themselves up from the floor amidst the haze of electrical fires and ruptured coolant lines. Emergency systems had activated, but Kelver's expression told Zephyr everything she needed to know. "How bad?" she asked. "Drive core is completely fried," the engineer reported grimly. "Main power systems are offline. Life support is running on auxiliary power, but that will only last 3 standard days. Communications array was damaged in the descent. We can't send a distress signal beyond this planet's atmosphere." "Can we repair it?" Kelver's eye stalks quivered in what might have been a laugh if the situation weren't so dire. "With what, Commander? This planet doesn't even have basic molecular fabrication technology. Their idea of advanced materials is refined petroleum products and primitive metal alloys. We need specialized components that simply don't exist on this world." Zephyr studied the external scanner feeds. The crash had occurred in a heavily forested region, but sensors detected a small human settlement approximately 5 kilometers to the east. "Perhaps we could salvage materials from their technology," Science Officer Trellix suggested. "Primitive as it is, we might adapt some components for temporary repairs. That would violate non-interference protocols," Security Chief Martin reminded them, his armored exoskeleton clicking as he shifted uncomfortably. "I believe survival takes precedence over protocols," Zephyr replied. "Kelver, assemble a team and prepare for exploration. We need to assess what resources might be available to us." Sarah Chen was closing up her automotive repair shop when she saw the strange light streaking across the evening sky. Unlike a meteor, it changed direction several times before disappearing behind the tree line with a distant rumble that rattled the windows of her garage. Her curiosity piqued. Sarah grabbed her truck keys and a flashlight. As the owner of Chen's Advanced Auto Repair and the only mechanic within 50 miles with experience working on everything from vintage carburetors to the latest electric vehicle systems, Sarah had developed an almost supernatural intuition about machines, and whatever had just crashed in the forest definitely wasn't from any aircraft manufacturer she recognized. Following the path of disturbed trees, Sarah eventually reached a clearing where her flashlight illuminated something impossible, a massive metallic structure, clearly damaged but undeniably artificial, embedded in the soft earth. It was easily the size of a commercial airliner, but its design was like nothing she'd ever seen, with smooth contours that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. "Hello," she called out, approaching cautiously. "Anyone need help?" A section of the hull suddenly slid open, revealing a ramp that extended to the ground. Sarah froze as four figures emerged, and they were definitely not human. The leader, a blue-scaled humanoid with 4 arms and reflective eyes, approached Sarah with measured steps. Behind it came 3 others, a tall insectoid being with multiple eye stalks, a bulky figure encased in what appeared to be living armor, and a slender entity whose translucent skin revealed pulsing organs beneath. "Greetings, Earth inhabitant," the blue-scaled being said in surprisingly good English, though the voice had an unusual dual-toned quality. "I am Commander Zephyr of the Confederation vessel Celestial Voyager. We have experienced a technical malfunction." Sarah blinked, taking a moment to process that she was actually talking to aliens, real, honest-to-goodness extraterrestrials. After the initial shock wore off, her practical nature reasserted itself. "I'm Sarah Chen," she replied, holstering her flashlight. "Looks like you had more than just a malfunction. That's a crash landing if I've ever seen one." She gestured toward the damaged hull. "Need a mechanic." The aliens exchanged glances that Sarah couldn't interpret, but she sensed skepticism. "With respect, Earth inhabitant Chen," the insectoid being said, "your planetary technology is far too primitive to assist with our systems. Our vessel operates on principles your science hasn't even theorized yet." Sarah crossed her arms, a smile playing at her lips. "Try me. I've fixed everything from Model T Fords to prototype fusion generators. Besides, it looks like you don't have many options." The commander, Zephyr, studied Sarah with newfound interest. "You are correct that our options are limited. Perhaps we could show you the damage and you might offer perspective." "That's all I'm asking," Sarah replied, following them up the ramp. Inside the ship, Sarah was overwhelmed by technology beyond her wildest imagination. Surfaces that changed properties when touched, holographic displays floating in midair, and materials that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. But beneath the advanced tech, she recognized the universal principles of engineering: energy flow, structural integrity, and system interdependence. The chief engineer, who introduced himself as Kelver, led her to what was obviously the engine room. Even with her limited understanding, Sarah could tell it was catastrophically damaged. A central chamber that once pulsed with brilliant energy now sat dark and cracked, with only occasional sparks dancing across its surface. "This is our quantum drive core," Kelver explained, gesturing with his eye stalks. "The coolant system failed during our transit, causing a cascade failure throughout the power distribution network." Sarah walked around the damaged core, studying it from different angles. "So it overheated, basically." A gross oversimplification, but essentially correct. Kelver replied with what Sarah interpreted as condescension. "And these." She pointed to a series of shattered crystalline tubes. "Quantum fluid conduits. They regulate energy flow between the drive core and ship systems." Sarah nodded thoughtfully. "So you need to repair the cooling system, replace these conduits, and restart the core without causing another overload." "Yes, but with components that don't exist on your planet," Kelver said. "Your most advanced superconductors would melt instantly trying to channel our energy levels." Sarah tapped her fingers against her leg, thinking, "Maybe we don't need to match your technology exactly. Sometimes the best fix isn't the most advanced one. It's the one that works with what you have." Commander Zephyr stepped forward. "Explain." I'd need to understand more about how your systems work, but if the principles are similar to our technology, just more advanced, we might be able to adapt Earth materials for temporary repairs. Not permanent fixes, but enough to get your communication systems online to call for help. The aliens again exchanged glances, and Sarah sensed a silent communication happening between them. "Very well, Earth inhabitant Chen," Zephyr finally said. "We have little to lose by exploring your suggestions. Kelver will explain our systems in terms you might understand." Sarah smiled, ignoring the subtle insult. "Call me Sarah. And I'll need to bring in some equipment from my shop. Maybe some trusted colleagues too. This looks bigger than a one-person job." Additional humans. Security Chief Martin objected. "That would further violate protocols." "Your protocols won't matter much if you're stranded here permanently," Sarah pointed out. "Besides, folks around here know how to keep secrets." She pulled out her phone. "I'll call my assistant Max and my friend Priya from the University Physics Department. Between the three of us, we should be able to help you piece this thing back together." As Sarah stepped outside to make her calls, the alien crew gathered to discuss this unexpected development. "Can we really trust these primitives with our technology?" Martin asked. "Their technological advancement is indeed far behind ours," Trellix acknowledged. "But this human shows an unexpected level of comprehension. Perhaps there's more to these Earth beings than our records suggest." Commander Zephyr watched as Sarah gestured animatedly while speaking into her communication device. "We have limited options. If these humans can help us restore even basic communication capabilities, it's worth the risk." Little did they know that this encounter would challenge everything they thought they knew about humanity and technological advancement. The revelation. 3 days after the crash, the clearing around the celestial Voyager had transformed into an impromptu repair yard. Sarah had brought in her most trusted colleagues. Max Rodriguez, her brilliant apprentice mechanic with a gift for improvisation, and Dr. Priya Sharma, a quantum physicist whose theoretical work had been repeatedly dismissed as too speculative by her peers. Together with a small team of specialized technicians sworn to secrecy, they were slowly bringing the alien vessel back to life. Commander Zephyr observed the humans with growing fascination. Initially, she had expected little from these primitive beings, yet their approach to problem-solving continually surprised her. Where Confederation engineers followed established protocols and relied on specialized tools, the humans improvised, adapted, and combined technologies in ways that would be considered unorthodox, even heretical, at the Galactic Academy. "I still don't understand how they managed to repair the auxiliary power couplings," Kelver admitted as he joined Zephyr on the observation deck. "They used modified electrical transformers from their power grid, cooling systems from what they call refrigerators, and a conductive gel Dr. Sharma developed for quantum computing experiments. By all theoretical models, it shouldn't work, yet we now have auxiliary power restored to 40% capacity. Perhaps our theoretical models need revision," Zephyr suggested, watching as Max directed the installation of a makeshift coolant system that used a combination of liquid nitrogen and a synthetic coolant developed by a local chemical plant. Below them, Sarah was deep in conversation with Science Officer Trellix, sketching designs on a tablet as they discussed possible workarounds for the damaged navigation system. Despite the vast technological gap between their species, the two had developed an easy rapport based on mutual intellectual respect. "They think differently than we do," Trellix had reported earlier. "Where we see insurmountable technological barriers, they see challenges to overcome through creative solutions. It's most fascinating." What had begun as an emergency repair operation had evolved into something much more significant, a cultural and technological exchange between two wildly different civilizations. The humans taught the aliens about adaptive thinking and resourcefulness, while the Confederation crew shared theoretical knowledge that would have taken humanity centuries to discover independently. Dr. Sharma had been particularly quick to grasp the principles behind Confederation quantum mechanics, making intuitive leaps that impressed even the highly educated Trellix. Within days, she had developed a working theory that unified several aspects of quantum physics that Earth scientists had struggled with for decades. Meanwhile, Max had introduced Kelver to the concept of jury-rigging, the art of creating functional temporary repairs using available materials. The engineer had initially been horrified by such imprecise methods, but couldn't argue with the results when Max successfully restored power to the ship's life support systems using modified Earth technology. "Commander," Kelver said suddenly, pulling Zephyra from her thoughts. "I've been analyzing the repair techniques these humans have employed, and I've come to a rather disturbing conclusion." "Go on," Zephyra encouraged. "Our approach to technology has become rigid. We depend on specialized components and standardized protocols to such an extent that we've lost the ability to innovate under pressure." He gestured toward the humans working below. "Their technological development may be far behind ours, but their problem-solving methodology is superior. They don't just apply knowledge. They create new solutions through intuitive leaps and cross-disciplinary approaches." Zephyr considered this. "You believe we have something to learn from them?" "I believe the Confederation has been gravely mistaken in classifying Earth as merely a Class C developing world," Kelver replied. "Their technology may be primitive, but their minds are anything but." In the ship's core chamber, Sarah and Priya stood before the damaged quantum drive, now surrounded by an array of Earth equipment interfaced with alien technology in ways neither species would have imagined possible a week ago. "I think we're ready for the test," Sarah said, wiping grease from her hands with a rag. "If this works, you should have enough power to restart primary systems and activate your long-range communications." Kelver, who had joined them, still looked skeptical. "The interface between our quantum matrices and your digital systems is theoretically incompatible. The energy fluctuations alone should overload your components instantly." Priya smiled. "That's why we're not trying to make them compatible in the conventional sense. We're using the quantum uncertainty principle itself as a buffer." She pointed to a series of modified circuit boards connected to the alien crystals. "These don't try to control the quantum fluctuations. They ride them, adapting in real time to whatever state emerges. It's like surfing." Max chimed in from where he was making final adjustments. "Instead of fighting the wave, you go with it." "An apt metaphor," Trellix acknowledged, his eye stalks quivering with what the humans had learned was excitement. "This approach would never have occurred to our engineers. We've spent centuries trying to eliminate uncertainty from our systems, not embrace it." Commander Zephyr entered the chamber, accompanied by the rest of her senior crew. "Are we prepared for the test?" Sarah nodded. "As ready as we'll ever be. Just remember, this is a prototype. If it works, it'll give you enough power to call for help and maintain essential systems until your people can rescue you." "Proceed," Zephyr ordered. Max initiated the startup sequence, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the quantum core began to glow with a faint blue light that gradually intensified. The human equipment connected to it hummed with increasing energy, but instead of overloading as Kelver had predicted, the jury-rigged systems flexed and adapted to the quantum fluctuations. "It's working," Priya exclaimed, watching as the energy readings climbed steadily. "The core is stabilizing." Throughout the ship, systems began to come online. Lights flickered on, control consoles reactivated, and the gentle hum of life support strengthened to normal levels. On the bridge, Navigation Officer Denver reported that communications were back online. "We're receiving Confederation signals," she announced. "A patrol vessel is in a nearby system and can reach us within 2 standard cycles." The celebration that followed transcended species barriers. Humans and aliens alike shared in the triumph of what they had accomplished together. What had begun as a desperate emergency repair had become something far more profound. A demonstration that different approaches to science and technology could complement each other in unexpected ways. Later that evening, as the humans and aliens shared a meal together under the stars, Commander Zephyr made a formal announcement. In recognition of the assistance provided by Earth inhabitants Sarah Chen, Priya Sharma, Max Rodriguez, and their team, I am officially recommending to the Confederation Council that Earth's classification be upgraded from Class C to Class B Developing World, with special notation regarding their unique problem-solving capabilities. She paused, looking at each of the humans in turn. Furthermore, I am proposing the establishment of a limited technological exchange program, carefully managed to avoid cultural disruption, but designed to benefit both our civilizations. Sarah raised her coffee mug in a toast to unexpected friendships and new beginnings, and to the revelation that true advancement comes not just from technology, Zephyr added, raising her own vessel, but from the diversity of thought behind it. As the stars shone overhead, human and alien alike contemplated the future that might emerge from this chance encounter, a future where two vastly different approaches to science and civilization might learn from each other and grow stronger together than either could alone. When the Confederation rescue vessel arrived 2 days later, they found more than a damaged ship awaiting repairs. They found the beginning of an interstellar partnership that would eventually redefine the galaxy's understanding of technological advancement and the true meaning of intelligence. Though the celestial Voyager would soon depart Earth, the connection established between these two worlds would remain, a testament to what could be accomplished when advanced technology met unorthodox thinking, and when beings from different worlds recognized the unique value in their differences rather than dismissing what they didn't understand. The Confederation had arrived on Earth believing they were vastly superior. They left knowing that true superiority lies not in the advancement of one's tools, but in the openness of one's mind to new possibilities. And on Earth, a small team of humans looked up at the stars with new understanding, knowing that they had not only fixed an alien spacecraft, they had changed the course of two civilizations forever.